In Japan, the term Kodokushi refers to people dying alone, often unnoticed for days, weeks, or even months. This phenomenon is increasingly common in aging, urban populations where neighbors don't know each other and families are disconnected. The modern lifestyle, work-focused culture, and societal isolation have contributed to the rise of such deaths. Kodokushi isn't just about physical death. It symbolizes a silent emotional crisis where individuals disappear from the social fabric long before their bodies are found. It reflects the deep loneliness hidden behind Japan's clean, orderly cities. These deaths often go unnoticed until a neighbor complains about a smell, or a landlord comes to collect overdue rent. In a nation where dignity and shame are culturally sensitive, dying alone without being missed is one of the most heartbreaking outcomes of modern life. Japan has one of the world's oldest populations, with millions of seniors living alone. As families shrink and traditional support systems break down, elderly people are increasingly vulnerable to isolation. Many spend their final years without contact from relatives or friends. Government surveys show that more than 30% of elderly Japanese live by themselves. Some never receive visits from their children or neighbors. When they pass away, no one notices, until the smell of decay triggers an investigation. Many elderly die without wills, funerals, or mourners. This silent crisis is hidden behind apartment walls. Society respects privacy, but this respect sometimes turns into ignorance. There's no one left to care. No one left to knock. In a country so technologically advanced, many seniors still die in silence, not because of poverty, but because of forgotten emotional needs. Cities like Tokyo and Osaka are packed with people, yet many residents live in deep loneliness. Unlike rural Japan, where communities are tight-knit, city dwellers rarely know their neighbors. Work stress, long commutes, and social anxiety often prevent people from forming human connections. Apartments are built for efficiency, not community. Technology has replaced face-to-face conversations. In such environments, people can die in their homes without anyone noticing for weeks. Delivery flyers pile up, garbage remains untouched, and yet no one asks questions. Urban isolation in Japan isn't a lack of people, it's a lack of connection. The busier the city, the lonelier the heart. Even in emergencies, neighbors may feel it's not their place to interfere. This cultural hesitation and urban design have together built invisible walls between people, walls so thick that even death goes unnoticed. Japan is a global tech leader, with robots, smartphones, and AI assistants becoming part of daily life. But can technology truly replace human relationships? Elderly citizens may use messaging apps, but very few have deep, meaningful conversations. Some even pretend to have online friends to escape the shame of loneliness. Smart devices might record their health, but they don't offer warmth or empathy. Ironically, as Japan becomes more digitally connected, emotional disconnection deepens. People interact with screens more than each other. When someone dies alone, it's the silence, not a broken app, that reveals the truth. This dependence on technology gives an illusion of connection, while masking the emotional distance growing in society. In Japan's lonely deaths, we see how even advanced gadgets cannot replace the value of a knock on the door or a real human voice. Not just the elderly, but even middle-aged workers fall victim to lonely deaths. The term salaryman is often romanticized, but many Japanese workers live solitary lives, away from family, working endless hours. When these individuals retire or lose their jobs, they're left with no one. Social expectations prevent them from seeking help. Shame becomes stronger than the need for support. Economic downturns, job insecurity, and rising living costs push these people to the margins. They may rent small apartments, avoid contact, and live in silence. Eventually, some die alone without ever being checked on. These deaths are discovered only when someone notices unpaid bills or a landlord breaks in. This demographic, Japan's forgotten middle, is the most silently suffering. They vanish not because they are poor, but because they are invisible in a society that values productivity over personal well-being. A disturbing industry has emerged in Japan, special cleanup crews that handle lonely death scenes. When a body decomposes unnoticed for weeks, the aftermath is gruesome: biological waste, insects, stained furniture, and unbearable odors. These professionals, often called trauma cleaners, are trained not just to clean but to handle emotional remnants, unread letters, forgotten photographs, unfinished meals. Their job is not only to sanitize, but to restore dignity to the dead. These crews often become the only ones to witness the life stories of the deceased. They sometimes cry while cleaning. Their presence reminds us that even in death, people deserve respect. The rise of this industry reflects how widespread and normalized lonely deaths have become. It's not a rare tragedy anymore, it's a recurring scene in modern Japan. Behind every cleanup is a life that went unheard and unnoticed. In Japan, discussing personal suffering, loneliness, or mental health is often seen as shameful. People are taught to endure, to not burden others. This gaman, endurance, culture creates a wall of silence. Even those struggling deeply may never say a word. Families avoid hard conversations, neighbors respect privacy too much, and individuals hide pain behind smiles. This cultural mindset prevents intervention. People could be dying inside, and literally, but no one asks. Death becomes something private, even if it's tragic. Kodokushi happens not just because of loneliness, but because no one wants to speak about it. Shame kills more than disease. Japan's collective silence turns emotional pain into fatal isolation. It's not that help doesn't exist, it's that people feel too ashamed to ask for it. And so, many pass away without saying goodbye to anyone. Despite the darkness, there is hope. Some Japanese cities are now creating watch networks, where neighbors check on elderly residents regularly. Volunteers are trained to look for signs of isolation. Digital systems alert authorities if a person stops using electricity or water. Local cafes host loneliness meetups, where strangers can talk without judgment. TV shows and documentaries are also helping raise awareness. Young people are creating apps not to entertain, but to reconnect. Kodokushi is now discussed more openly than before. Japan is slowly realizing that fighting loneliness requires community, compassion, and conversation. It's not enough to build smart cities, we need caring ones too. These new initiatives remind us that no one should disappear without being missed. Even in a high-tech world, nothing replaces human warmth, and it may be the only way to stop dying alone from becoming the new normal.